Welcome everyone to another observability clinic. We are back in the season Sustainable IT, talking about optimizing your data center's carbon footprint with Dynatrace, from resource utilization to green coding. And the expert in the room is Klaus Enzenhofer. Servus, Klaus.
Servus, Andy.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, really cool that we are back. Folks, we have done some other recordings as well. There's a lot of videos out there, especially from Klaus around carbon impact, around green engineering. And I think in this session, we want to dive a little bit deeper into the whole area of sustainable IT, of carbon impact, the reasoning, how this works in Dynatrace, and just going a little deeper into the stuff that we've done before.
Exactly. Let's do that.
Let's do this. Klaus, kick it off.
So, as you know, we launched our Carbon Impact App last year at Perform, and we have there significant adoption already. We are getting to the 200,000 servers that we are covering with sustainability monitoring, with carbon footprint monitoring, and helping our customers to optimize from resource utilization all the way to green coding. Mm-hmm. And this is the beauty of Dynatrace again, everything under one big umbrella. Mm-hmm. But let's start. Why are we actually doing this? The very simple reason: we want to help people reduce the carbon footprint. You heard about it. We have to work on that because global warming is hitting us. And what people don't know yet is that the airline industry globally has a similar footprint than all our data centers together. And if that is not enough for you folks, then there is legal legislation on the way, specifically in the European Union, New Zealand, Australia, India. We have very, very strict regulations coming along. This is now from the European Union, the CSRD, which is actually forcing companies to report on their carbon footprint. Mm-hmm. If they are across these very low KPIs for a company. Mm-hmm. So if you are listed as a public company, you basically will be exceeding these in any way. But the key is, we're not just a reporting tool. We want to really help people on the optimization. And to be a little bit more specific, because there is this whole ESG topic also out there. We are helping with the optimization in the emissions, specifically in what shows up in your reports as Scope 2, diving into electricity that you bought from your electricity provider, or the carbon that comes with the bill from your cloud providers. This is where we want to help. This is where we can help. And why are we helping there? Because everybody has the same problem. Once you have the KPI, how can I reduce it? Mm-hmm. Getting the KPI, getting the reporting number is easy. Mm-hmm. You go to your cloud provider, download your PDF, and you have your number. You go to your data center electricity provider, he gives you your carbon footprint number. Mm-hmm. It's sufficient for reporting, but it is not fine-grained. It doesn't give you any insights on like, how can I optimize? Mm-hmm. So this is where Dynatrace comes in and our methodology. So we are running ourselves multi-cloud environment. Our customers are running on-prem and cloud and multi-cloud environments. We wanted to give them the ability to get an overview across their real estate, plus the ability to dive into the individual pieces. And as we have Smartscape, our topology, real-time topology, always on, we are fueling this topology with carbon information so that you can slice and dice down to the individual host, to the individual software service, so that you know how much carbon these are producing.
Mm-hmm. So Klaus, if I recap this, and I think you said it very nicely, but to recap, we're not only producing a number, a metric, let's say this is how much energy you consume, we also give you recommendations on how to reduce it in a smart way so that it doesn't impact your bottom line, which is your SLOs, your availability. It's similar to an analogy where you say, you may want to become healthier as a human, and therefore you may start with a step tracker, but the step tracker alone doesn't really tell you what to do better to maybe gain or like lose some weight, let's say that way, right?
Yeah.
And so you have like your personal coach that then tells you how can you optimize without maybe going, impacting something else that is important, right?
That's exactly where Dynatrace comes into play.
Nice.
How do we get the tracker in place?
Mm-hmm.
And how does the tracker actually work before we put it in place? It's very sustainable, actually, because we're not collecting any new metrics. So Dynatrace One Agent by default is collecting CPU, memory, network disk metrics for monitoring purposes in any way. We're also collecting some meta information about the individual hosts and services, like where are they running? Is the CPU architecture with 8 cores or 512 cores? The energy intake varies according to that significantly. And we are also using their data center, the efficiency information of your data center, the PUE value, about the carbon intensity is something that comes into play because it makes a difference whether you're running your host instance in the cloud or on premise. You have a different carbon footprint because of a different PUE. Also, if you have multiple data centers, depending on where you are locating them, the PUE may vary also because of your cooling systems, that kind of things. This is basically then where we leverage what we've worked together with the Sustainable Digital Infrastructure Alliance on a calculation algorithm to produce the carbon equivalent and the energy consumption of the individual pieces.
Very cool. So taking existing data and then some external data, the PUE, and then together with a global alliance, we came up with a function to actually calculate the equivalent for carbon emission, consumption, and also energy. No?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a lot of theory.
Yeah.
Want to show you something practical first. This is what happened to us. We could reduce our carbon footprint from a daily basis of 8.5 tons down to around about 7 tons a day, just around August to September. So we had we put a couple of things in place that reduced and helped reduce our carbon impact on the world.
Cool. So that means we looked at the Dynatrace data that the Carbon Impact App gave us, followed the recommendations, and then optimized our system and therefore reduced carbon impact by 19%.
Which is a lot.
Which is a lot, yeah.
Not only in carbon, it also, given that we are running in the cloud, it helps you also on the cost side.
Of course.
But how do you get there? It's demo time.
We always love demos, Klaus.
We always love demos. So for those who cannot find the Carbon Impact App yet on their environment, it shows up down here in the business analytics section. And for those that don't find it there, you can just go to the hub. This is where you will see not immediately the Carbon Impact App, but you can search for Carbon Impact App in all our apps. You have it there. In my case, it's already installed. You can take a brief look, see some technical information because it requires some user permissions for you to later on activate the calculation. And you always see our latest release notes there, what's happening. And we are iterating quite frequently on the app, stay on top. And if you have not installed it, this open button turns into an install button. In my case, I already have opened it. I installed it so I can open it. Going in here, I get back to where I stopped last, but first-time installers will be asked, should I activate the calculation? And you can also see if it is running by going here to the settings. This is a simple switch, turn it on, and go and start running with it.
So this is what you showed earlier in the slides. That's the calculation piece. You turn it on, and then it takes the data that we already have,
right?
And then it calculates the carbon impact. Yeah.
Once an hour, it basically goes through the entire environment, produces for each individual host the carbon footprint, and first thing you are getting then after a couple of runs, you will see getting a trend.
Yeah.
This is tied to the time frame, so we're looking at 7 days here. We are in this demo environment in 7 days, producing 90 kilograms. Last period was 50, like the week before was 56 kilograms. That's why we have a negative change. We also see down here the same trend that we are actually increasing. We had their period of time where we increased. Maybe okay, because we have added some business capacity. We need some capacity in order to run our business, so might be good. Talking about business, what we also allow you to configure is a KPI. You can basically also go to the settings, and at the bottom you can add here from the business events that you are collecting already some nice business information that you can set it against to. If I go here for have here something that is called quick buy from EasyTrade, our demo application, I can use it and say like, hey, I want to take the amount of the quick buys as my comparison. Add a unit, it's been saved. Pull it back. It does automatically get me now here a second line that says, how am I comparing? Is my carbon footprint increasing faster than my business is? I'm in trouble. I should actually take a look.
Yeah. So basically, and also folks, this is for some people that have maybe not yet watched some of the other material that you've been pushing over the years around business events, about the business observability. Like with Dynatrace, we cannot only monitor your CPU memory. You brought up the example now with the number of trades you make, maybe if you're a trading platform, the number of items sold if you're an e-commerce platform, the number of claims handled if you're an insurance company. So you can now correlate a business metric that indicates how healthy your business is with the carbon impact, and then you can actually nicely see as you're making adjustments to your carbon, as you're optimizing your infrastructure, carbon goes down. But the question is, does it have a positive or negative impact also in a business? Because they always have to be obviously aligned.
Yeah,
that's exactly cool. Really nice.
In the main overview, we also provide you here with the data centers that you are having. This is, we talked about scale. To give you perspective, I'll show you what the screen looks like in real for Dynatrace. In Dynatrace world, we're talking about tons of carbon emission in 7 days. We are seeing like not only 2 data centers, but actually 12 pages of data centers, because for every cloud region of the cloud provider, you're getting your own data center. Yes, there is difference in the carbon emissions of each region. And you're also getting right away these idling or scale down information. In our case, we have there 74 hosts, and to give you a little bit of perspective on why we still have them, funny or not so funny story. I went with the carbon impact with this screen to our ops team and said like, hey, found us a couple of hosts that we can shut down because they're idling for the last 30 days. How about shutting them down? And we started digging, as the team owns these instances, digging into it. And first thing was, hey, there are a couple of these nodes that are running our synthetic locations. And guess what? We have SLAs in place. There needs to be, for every synthetic location, 3 working instances there, just in case of higher demand, failover, for those reasons. And yep, there are some remote locations where still our customers are not adopting the location as I wanted, but we have to have their 3 instances, so we cannot shut this down. And this is the beauty of Dynatrace. Everything always happens in context. Also, when you think about scale down of hosts, is another thing. You can work on scaling down the hosts, because but if you have provisioned these hosts, over provisioned them on purpose because you're having a sales event next week or a peak event, whatever that is, end of year, end of month, coming next ahead of you, you may still want to keep them running at that size, because like you said, you must not risk your business, must not risk your throughput, performance SLAs, availability SLAs, just because you're doing carbon optimization.
And the good news is, behind these hosts, or on every host, we have ownership information. We know what is running. And this also makes it then possible to say, hey, we have 74 opportunities here, but let's first go to the teams that actually own these hosts. We know the ownership because of the metadata we are extracting from the hosts. And then we can make a better informed decision. Really nice.
That's really cool. You basically talk this like, what does it look in the product?
Yeah.
Not just through. So we have here non-idling or scale down hosts, but nevertheless, we can take a look at the entire host list here. Now you can see that there is this specific one consuming quite some energy and also producing quite some carbon. Let's, I can see here, yeah, it's busy, but I can jump into the particular host view here and learn about it. Learn about this host, what is going on this host. See, is it really like pretty constantly loaded here? But where is this load coming from? You have the ability in Dynatrace to dive from the host process. In this case, it's a demo environment where the first ones are actually dealing with producing the demo load. But we have here a software service that actually does something in the Easy Trade app. And again, one click allows you to see what's going on the process. Or more interesting, when I'm interested into carbon optimization on application level, I want to dive into the software service and have there the ability to tie it back to the individual team. I, in my case, have not configured it. That's why it only says team here, because very small environment. But for those, there is an observability clinic out there on ownership, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can specify team identification. So that means on a host level, on the process level, on any entity in Dynatrace, you can specify who owns it, and not only the name of a team, but also how to reach them also in an automated way. Yeah.
Now that we click through, have identified this host, we can go to the team and they're like, hey, team, you want to optimize. Let's do this real quick. Let's take a look at the CPU. We're looking at the CPU per request here. If we look down, we see like which requests are coming in here. This get product seems to be the biggest CPU consumer. Well, still not the biggest one, or like not a whole lot, but a little bit. We can filter this view now by just clicking. We have added here another filter, allowing you to continue by taking a look at the method hotspot level. This is where now the engineers are coming in. This is not an IT operations use case. This is where green coding and the engineering team are coming in. Because they can take now a look at all the stack frames and all the details, and they know way better than anyone in IT operations what it means, and they know where to look at and find the biggest contributors and see if they are finding the usual problems. I mean, two of us are around for a couple of years. And we looked at N+1 request problem 10 years ago.
Exactly.
It comes now under the umbrella of green coding. The same problem.
Or I would just click on the hotspot, for instance. You see next to the call hierarchy, right? I mean, Dynatrace then automatically tells you where are your hotspot methods, because then we point the developer and say, if you optimize here, you will save on CPU cycles. And then, Klaus, as you said, right, we've been doing the classical APM, application performance monitoring or management, for many years, whether it's CPU optimization, interacting with other services, whether it's databases or third-party services, or also memory optimization, right? Dynatrace has all these capabilities to tell you where your hotspots. And with this optimizing, it's really funny if you think about it, how long we've been talking about this, right? But instead of now talking just about optimizing performance, we're talking about optimizing the sustainability aspect of your application.
Right, exactly. And same thing again. With our shift left approach, you can have basically prevent bad application architecture from a sustainability bad architecture, from a sustainability bad code being actually moved from engineering into test, into production. You can have KPIs as early as tied to your unit test and catch bad code along the way so that it doesn't hit your production data center, where then you have the emissions at grand scale.
Cool. Klaus, to recap a little bit on what I just learned. So first of all, the Carbon Impact App is easy for everyone to install, right? You can get it on the hub. You install it, it will take existing data that we already have. The only thing it really then does, it additionally calculates your carbon impact. And it's really done in a way where you are working together with the Global Alliance for Sustainability, which is really cool. Then there's different ways to optimize infrastructure, but also code. We've seen this here. What else? Is there anything else we can do with the data?
Sure. There is something that we can do. So I have been frequently asked, like, hey, data center is nice that you put a data center slicing and dicing, that you put these two recommendations out there. But I need to look at the data from an application perspective, from a service perspective, or like you showed me here, like I showed you how to go through this step-by-step clicking to a service. But hey, I'm running 1,000 hosts. I'm not even aware where to start looking. And that's now the beauty of Dynatrace, because what the app does, it produces raw data that you can continue working with. And I've prepared here a little notebook for the carbon story. It's actually the second version, as it's the second time we talk about it. And when you run a fetch bis event, filter event provider, after you have activated the calculation, you'll be seeing per host, like here we have the host ID per host, you will be getting exactly the information. The electricity consumption per CPU, IO, memory, network, the emissions for this host, all that information is actually provided to you right here. The cool thing now is we can leverage it. We can actually, for example, reproduce the number upper left corner in the app. So if you don't do 2 hours, but 7 days, run the query again, you will get the same number. But I can also say, like, hey, what are the top 10 contributing hosts by just running a query like this? But this is just the start, because we spoke about Smartscape. Let's get fancy. In this case, we are basically taking the raw data and turning the host information, leveraging the host information to tie it to the software services. And from the software services, we're also tying it then back to the actual applications, the real user applications that we have in Dynatrace. And Then finally, we're filtering down to our easy trade application. And that tells me that the emissions of this particular application is just 124 kilograms. Now you can continue and work from that perspective. This is the beauty of our new query language. Or just breaking it down by the cloud providers, seeing where am I having the most of my cores running, what's the average emissions per core, to see and get a little bit of an overview there.
I think the cool thing here is, and people you may not even, when the awesome thing is we are using DQL, the Dynatrace query language, and not just querying the data that is produced by the Carbon Impact App as a so-called BIS event, but we can now connect the data with everything else we have, with all the metadata that we have, which allows us to know where does Easy Travel run, where does this particular app run, what is this cloud provider, and this is the power of having everything in Grail and being able to then query this data using DQL.
Exactly.
Wow.
And we spoke about software services. Want to see something really fancy? I need to scroll here. It's like you see, you have there a lot of queries. I sliced and diced in a lot of different ways. But if I go all the way towards the bottom, this is where we actually started slicing and dicing, basically, with the goal to distribute to the service. And at the end, basically, this is what the query, and we are going to share this notebook, at least these queries, where we are slicing the entire host's emission on processes that actually run services that contribute to applications. So we are even taking out background applications out of the equation. And then it's an easy one. If you have 10,000 services, you just order by the impact. And then you have for every team that is out there, this is your rank, your current carbon rank. What can you do about it? Can you optimize the CPU cycles in your source code so it's producing less carbon? By the way, optimizing CPU cycles usually also leads to better response times. How can you, that's the information that you can slice and dice and bring to life for your engineers so that you really can do green coding end to end.
Nice. And behind the services, folks, right? These are the service IDs that we have. That means Dynatrace automatically monitors hosts and it monitors processes. And we have a concept of services where we actually then look at the actual code and here we go. One click, show me that's the Easy Trade Manager, and I know which team is responsible for it and what it's doing. And that this is the one that you should optimize because it's the one that is consuming most of the carbon impact. Nice. So recap, install the app, enable the calculation, then start optimizing, and also go a step further and answer questions that you have that the app doesn't answer by default in the UI, but you have all the raw data available and you can then connect it with the rest and then you can answer it all.
Thanks for the summarization. I have here even a summary slide that helps you. The way how I'm talking about it is Dynatrace can help you on 3 levels of optimization. And the 3 levels of optimization start on the data center level. When you think about it, what are the trends out in the sustainability community there? Hey, I have my on-premise data center. First of all, I buy green energy. You can do that, but we all know that the world needs more energy than we can produce green energy. So you should work on optimizing actually your energy footprint, if not. The other thing is the cloud providers, they have a net zero strategy. So by moving from on-premise to the cloud, you can reduce your carbon footprint. In any way, same thing applies it's still load that needs to run somewhere. And there are other ways how you can optimize. And when you think about it, next level is host. The app itself shows you today optimization recommendations on a host, but we're already working towards optimization recommendations for container level. So when you're running your Kubernetes environment, you can right size, find not utilized container instances, and help. We're going to help you there as well. Right size is a big contributor and is in your control, and gives you also control over your cost and helps you reduce your cost. And last but not least, the ultimate, when you really want to do something, you have to take a look at your application architecture and at your application code in order to do green coding wherever possible. Put it out there, some examples here, like too many round trips, too much data that you're requesting, things like string buffer versus string builder. If you remember, 10 years ago, we spoke about it, and there are an enormous amount of ebooks out there. Some of them we wrote that deal with something called application performance management. Whatever you do there, most of it applies to green coding straight away. So green coding might be a lever for you to bring to your company more of this application performance management thinking as well. It helps us, it helps everyone, because carbon is a problem that we all have.
I really love this, and especially because it also shows how different people in your organization can contribute. On the bottom, for me, this is your IT operations, your cloud architects that decide where to run. In the middle layer, this is the site reliability engineers. They are trying to optimize based on the current state of the app. They're not touching the app, but they can optimize, as you said, the right sizing of your VMs, the right sizing of your containers. And then on the top, you have the developers that can then optimize the app itself, right? It's really nice, 3 different layers. Everybody can contribute to reducing carbon emissions and costs. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So, folks, it's upon, I think it's all of we all have a responsibility, and we as Dynatrace, we give you the data, and we give you recommendations, and we give you the chance with the raw data to even then answer questions that we may not be able to think of, right? So the raw data is really great to really optimize our workloads. Klaus, I'm pretty sure this is not the last time we will be sitting here. I'm sure there's more topics coming up in the future, more stories.
Definitely more stories coming, and definitely more insights. Yeah, and if you have stories, your customers, feel free to ping me. Let me know about your carbon optimization story and how you're doing it.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Klaus.
Thanks, Andy.